الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. طيب, alhamdulillah, this is our Arabic grammar made easy. Nahwu Arabiya. Alright. The lesson 1, subtitle A. Why? Because lesson 1 consists of a whole lesson which we will not be able to cover in one class. So we're going to dissect it, take it by part. This book was developed by Bilal Phillips, and it was put together for the for the non-speaking Arabs, for the English speakers. And it's normally, if you go over it with a teacher, it takes about 90 days, about 3 months roughly. And it's an excellent book, one of the books that I use to help me gain an understanding of the Arabic language. As for those who don't know, we're talking about Nahwu, grammar. And we're going to talk about a little bit dealing with that. What does grammar consist of? So we can have a better understanding. But before getting into the actual dars, the lesson of today, inshallah ta'ala, we want to just remind some of the most key factors, because a lot of us have started Arabic classes before and we haven't continued or finished it. A lot of us have begun here, didn't finish. So if you want to know the answer as to why you haven't completed the Arabic programs that you have started in the past, then that answer is simple. There are 2 key main ingredients in order for something to, for you to see something all the way through. We're going to use the kalam of Shaykh Uthaymeen rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi to give us a better perspective of that. But first and foremost, it's called husnul niyyah. Having a good intentions, brothers and sisters, is important. And we're going to talk about what is a good intention when it comes to learning Arabic and such, inshallah. Also, having what they call ikhlas, sincerity. Because without good intention, which fuse ikhlas, it fuse sincerity. And without ikhlas, that fuse consistency. So if you want to be consistent, you need to be sincere. And if you want to be sincere, then you need to have a good intentions. This is pretty much the crux of why we start something and we don't finish it. So it's important that we understand these basic key ingredients so that we can be able to gain a proficiency in anything that we want to learn. Specifically, we're talking about Arabic. Shaykh Uthaymeen rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, he brings a beautiful point that he mentions about when learning Arabic, especially Arabic grammar. He says that that the ilm, the science of Arabic grammar, is no doubt is a ilmun sharif. It is a noble and honorable science, right? Ilmun wasila, and is used as a science that is a wasila, a means, like a tool that you use to get to something else. Okay, you use it as a tool to get something. Tawassalu biha ila shay'ain muhimmain. There are 2 things that he mentioned, that 2 important things that you are able to use as a means of a wasila. Is the first thing is understanding the book of Allah. You need the Arabic grammar, you need the Arabic language in order to understand the book of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And he says that to understand the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the first means why you learn Arabic. So when we talk about that good intentions, specifically in learning Arabic grammar or learning sarf or any other components of the Arabic language, then think about that. You want to understand Allah's book and you want to understand the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For indeed, understanding them both, all right, you're going to have to learn the Arabic language. You're going to have to learn it. That consists of Arabic grammar. Secondly, the second means you're going to use, all right, is iqamatul lisan ala lisan al-arab. And it's for those who want to, for example, who want to go a little bit further and they want to speak, all right? So if you like to speak, you want to make sure that your tongue, when you speak the language, is free of errors, of grammatical mistakes, All right, الذي نزل به كلام الله. That which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have used, meaning the Arabic language, to send down his book. لذلك كان فهم النحو أمر مهم جدا. He says, for this reason, you find that the comprehension or the understanding of the Arabic grammar is a very important affair. ولكن النحو في أوله صعب. And this part I really want us to pay attention to. He says, however, in the beginning of the learning of Arabic grammar, he says that it can seem difficult. All right, صعب. وفي آخره سهل. However, once you reach the end, if you're consistent and you have that sincerity, you reach the end, you want to find that it will be made easy for you. He says, وقال مثل. He says, example that we're going to use is a house made of straw. Okay, the house is made of straw. وبابه حديد. However, its door is made of iron. Okay, what does that mean? The Shaykh continues. He said that means that أنه صعب الدخول, meaning that it is difficult to enter it, right? لكن إذا دخلت سهل عليك كل شيء. However, once you enter it, everything else will be made easy. All right? So don't be intimidated by learning the Arabic grammar, basically what the Shaykh is saying. Because it might look like an iron door, all right? It might feel intimidating, but the moment you keep being persistent, the moment you keep going, and once you enter it in, you're going to see that it'll be made easy, and it's no longer an iron door because this house is made of straw. All right? He says, وَلِهَذَا يَنبَغِي الْإِنسَانَ يَحْرِصْ عَلَى تَعَلُّمِ وَبَادِئِهِ حَتَّى يَسْهُلَ عَلَيْهِ الْبَاقِي. He says, for this reason, it is befitting for a person that he remain keen and diligent and learning the elementaries or the elementaries of the foundational elementary principles of the Arabic grammar until it is made, till the rest is made easy for him or her. وَلَا إِبْرَ بِقَوْلٍ. And he should not give any consideration to the one who says, indeed, learning the Arabic grammar is difficult. It's hard. حَتَّى يَتَخَيَّلَ الطَّالِبُ أَنَّهُ لَنْ. And to the point that the students start to imagine within their mind that this is a science that I don't want to learn because it's difficult to really learn. He said this is not a correct perspective. He says, وَلَكِنْ رَكِّزْ. He said, however, you should focus from the beginning until it is made, until its end, it is made easy for you. Some of them have said that indeed, النحو صعب. The Arabic grammar is difficult. وَطَوِيلُ سُلَامُهُ. And its stairs are long, are lengthy. إِذَا ارْتَقَى فِيهِ الَّذِي لَا يَفْهَمُهُ. Right? And if you start to try to ascend up those steps or go up those steps, that's when you don't understand. So the further you go up the steps in the Arabic grammar, this is what some people say, that you don't understand, right? أَرَادَ أَنْ يُعْرَبُهُ فَيُعْجِمُهُ. And when you want to make i'rab of a sentence, right? And that's what grammar is. We're going to talk about that. When you want to make i'rab of a sentence, you sound like a foreigner. So you no longer, you know, an Arab or understanding Arabic is because it becomes confusing for you. Shaykh al-Uthaymeen says this is not correct. He says, نحن لا نوافق على هذا. How we don't agree with this. He says, and by the way, Shaykh al-Uthaymeen was a grammarian, a nahwi by himself, alhamdulillah, and he was a mufassir, right? So he says, بَعْ نَقُولُ inshallah, what we say rather, and Allah's willing, النحو سهل, that Arabic grammar is easy. وَسُلَّمُهُ قَصِيرٌ, and its steps are short. It ain't long. وَدَرْجُهُ يعني سهلة, and its levels are easy. He says, تَفْهَمُهُ مِنْ أَوَّلِهِ, and you understand it from its beginning. Walhamdulillah. I wanted to bring that as a way of encouragement for that when we start learning this Arabic, brothers and sisters, that we take it seriously. All right? There are 8 components that they mentioned, but they dubbed them down into 4 when it comes to learning the Arabic grammar, right? And the main key ingredients, we're not talking about Arabic grammar, we're talking about the Arabic language itself, is you have to understand that you have one part which is known as sarf. All right? We're not learning sarf. We will learn some in this book, but sarfun, that deals with what they call bunyanatul kalam. It deals with the internal structure of the word. For example, sarf really focus on a lot that deals with verbs. All right? You have some in asma, but really is on verbs. So that's talking about the letter. It's the first letter, second letter, like that. That's what sarf focus on. You need that. You need that. That's something that you need. Changing that and learning the different afwab to sarf is important. So you have what they also, which is Nahu. That's what we're starting on. Nahu is grammar. That focus on the end. All right? That focus on the end. Okay? Whatever harakat that comes on the end is going to be how we understand the position of that word in that sentence. That's what you focus with when you're dealing on grammar. So if it's a dhamma, right, that means something. All right? And if it's a kasra, that means something. And if it's a fatha, then that means something. And we're getting to some of those different things. That's what you're focusing on when you deal with nahu. All right? However, there are 4 components. They call it kitaba. They call it qira'ah. All right? Qira'ah, kitaba, this is reading, writing. All right? I want to say istima'. Right? Which is listening. And the last one is which is tahadduth, right? Which is speaking, okay? Now, you're going to find people who are strong in all of these areas. And why is I'm bringing it up? And why is it important for me to talk about this before I go into the grammar? Is because, honestly, we're not natives of the Arabic language. So we're not in a targeted country where, we're not in a country where the main language, which is the Arabic, is spoken on a wide scale. So a lot of this, we won't be able to just be speaking unless we get with a community or a group of people that speak Arabic on the regular. Or we go talk to Arabs, or we go to the countries where they speak Arabic on the regular. So a lot of this stuff you wouldn't be able to just get, but you can get some of them. So what they say is that you want to divide it, take 100 and divide it into 4. If you can be 25% in reading, 25% in writing, and 25% in listening, and 25% in speaking, this is okay. You're well grounded. Sometimes you're going to find people going to be strong in reading and writing, but they're going to be weak when it comes to speaking. All right? Especially over here. You'll find a person who can understand and comprehend and can read and can write, but they are weak when it comes to actually conversing in the Arabic language. That's okay. Because again, we want to go back to that good niyyah. What is that good niyyah? As Sheikh Uthaymeen mentioned, is to understand Allah's book and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All right? The second one is to free your tongue from errors. That's if you're speaking. But we want to make sure that we can listen good, we can read good, and we can write. Also, speaking, if you can get it to 25%, that's good. If you get it to 100, alhamdulillah. You find some people that they can really be strong in both istima', tahadduth, meaning both in listening and speaking. You find people that are strong, but they might be weak when it comes to reading and writing. All right? Like I said, I think the balance is 25% in each. If you can, alhamdulillah, I think you'll do excellent well. Okay, Tayyip. Now we talked about Nahu. The way that Bilal Phillips does his book, he gives us the most commonly used word that is used in Arabic. And he starts off his first lesson with fi. Okay? Fi, for those who don't know, we're going to talk about what that means. It is a harf jar. What is a harf jar? It means prepositions. So this is going to take some of you guys back when y'all probably were in grammar school, or when y'all were in school and y'all was learning grammar. And then you have to understand what a preposition. But the thing I like about Arabic is that there are key signs that let us know something is a preposition. And if we focus and lock in the qaida, the principle, everything else is going to be easy. So that's why I always tell the students, lock in the principle, okay? Lock in the principle. Simple. Harf jar, the sign for harf jar, especially with the part we're going to go over, is a kasra. And I'm assuming at this point, if you're watching this class, you already know the Arabic alphabets, you know the harakat, you know the vowels, because in order for that, you have to do that. If you need to study that, you need to be in a beginner class where we're learning alphabets, harakats, and so forth. But you should know what this is. So, for example, we're going to take a word, which is a noun. Okay? We're going to take this word right here. Baytun. And I'll see what it is in a minute so we can have an understanding. All right. So Bayt mean house. All right? The tanween, when you see the double consonant or the double vowel, which is the double dhamma, or what they say dhammatain, or you see the double kasra, which is kasratain, or the double fatha, which is fathatain, that means something, and we're going to go over that. That have a position in Nahu. All right? So that's the first thing that Bilal is going to go over, is dealing with the definite and the indefinite article. So the first thing he's going to touch on is the indefinite article, right? Tanween in Arabic, brothers and sisters, is something that is said in speaking, all right? But it's not written in speaking. It is written when you write it down. Like when you're reading, you see it written, okay? But you hear it when someone speaks, okay? So it's the doubling of a word. Tanween means to double the harakat. Dhamma, and we're going to talk about what dhamma is, okay? So tanween in English is an indefinite article. What does that mean? When we say indefinite article, what does that mean? That means it's equivalent to a or an in English. And it means that it's not specific, okay? We can be talking about any house, all right? We're not talking about a specific house, because to do that, we have to bring something else. And we're going to learn what that is, the opposite of an indefinite article. An indefinite article, brothers and sisters, is equivalent to a or an. So in this way, this will be a house. All right, that's what that is. No matter if it's a dhammatain, a kasratain, or a fathatain, it's always going to be either a or an, depending on the context. All right, that's how we understand that. Now, the reason why we're showing you this particular word, which is a part of the vocabulary that you should learn, baytun, all right, and we're going to give you the plural a little bit later, is because in order to understand fi, the preposition, we need to give you a word. All right, he's going to give us a noun and he's going to give us a pronoun so that we can pretty much understand the usage of fi in the jumla, okay, in a sentence. Now that we got that, now all nouns, their state, because we're talking about tenses. Remember, Nahu focus on the end of the word. When we look at the word baytun, it has the dhammatain, right? That dhamma, we're going to talk about what does that mean. The dhamma, brothers and sisters, is nominative. What does nominative mean? All right? Nominative is a fancy way of saying the subject or the predicate, right? Subject or predicate. All nouns, okay? Verbs have, we're not on verbs. We get to verbs later here, introduce some verbs in this book. But in Medina book, we're definitely going to verbs. But all nouns are normally, their first state is going to be raf'un. All right? Raf'un means nominative. That's a dhamma. When someone say raf'un, they're talking about a dhamma. Raf'un, All right, and the word is marfu'un. Don't worry about these terms right now. I just want you to pay attention to the principle so you can lock it in. All right, so here, all nouns normally going to be in the nominative state, meaning they're going to have a dhamma. A dhammatain if the noun does not have a definite article, okay? It's going to take dhammatain. This is the principle. Lock this down. All nouns are in the nominative state, which is rough, meaning they all take dhamma. Dhammatain if they don't have usna. They all want to take that. You need something to come in to change it from its original state. All right? You need something to change this from its original state. And that's when we're going to talk about fi. Fi is going to change this dhamma. All right? Because fi is a harf jar and it changes the word, all right, that it interacts with. Okay? And just like dhamma means nominative, kasra means which is jar. We have raf'un, jarun. I don't know if you can see over there, but I'll explain it in a minute. Which is possession. They call it possession. When something takes possession, okay? That's known by a kasra. All right? The dhamma is raf'un. The kasra, like in this word here, baytin, is jar. It is possessive. Okay? It's being possessed. That word is being governed, is being possessed. All right? So now, that changes it from a dhamma to a kasra when we enter fi. Just bear with me. We're going to go into that. We have one more, which is known as nasbun. My writing is not the best, so don't worry about that. Which means accusative. Accusative is normally like an object of a verb, or that it's the object of that particular sentence, or the word is being affected. All right, and then there are things in when we deal with jumla to ismiya, when we deal with verb nominal sentence, there are words that come in like harf tawkid that's going to change it. We'll learn that later. I think in lesson 4 he goes over that. All right, and then you have what they call jazm. Jazmun, subjunctive. This one something takes a sukoon. You want to learn what nahu is? This is what it is, brothers and sisters. These 4 right here is what it is. Something is going to be nominative, which is known by a dhamma. Something is going to be possessive, which is known by a kasra. And something is either going to be accusative, which is known by a fatha, right? Baytan. And something is going to be subjunctive. And you're normally going to see that when you deal with verbs, okay? All right, so that sukoon there is the sign for jazm. All right, so these are our 4 signs that deal with nahu. All of them come at the end, if you notice. They all deal with the end of the word. This is what we're studying. This is what this class is about. This tells us what each word plays in the sentence. Now that we got that, we should understand it. You can refer back to this. All right, I'm going to leave that up. But I'm going to go into introducing us to a pronoun. So we already got one noun, which was bait. That means a house when we add the tanween. We're going to add a pronoun. That is ana. Ana, brothers and sisters, is I. It means I. And we're going to add nahnu. Nahnu means we. Okay? And these also have tenses. These also have tenses as well. Okay? Ana, nahnu. But we're not going to get into that. It's delving a little bit too deep once we start talking about the different tenses of each one of these. All right? So ana means I. Nahnu means we. All right? This is for your vocabulary. Put this down. So now we're going to make a jumla, a sentence. But before we go into making a sentence, let's talk about the different types of sentences. You have two sentences in the Arabic language. Only two. A sentence is either going to be jumla to ismiya, right? Or jumla to fi'liya, and we're going to talk about which each one is. Right? So what we're going to be concentrating on mostly in this book is the first type. But what does that mean? What does jumla to ismiya? Meaning a sentence that begins with a noun. Begins with a noun. All right? And there are signs that tells us what's a noun versus a verb. We'll get into that later. I think he goes into that in book and lesson 2 in the book. Tells us some different signs that we can tell when a word is a noun versus a word being a verb. Okay? So a sentence that begins with a noun is a jumla to ismiya. That's one type of sentence you're going to come across in the Arabic language. And then the other type of sentence that you're going to come across is which is known as a jumla to fi'liya. And you can guess that. That's a sentence that begins with a verb. Example of that is, for example, we'll say, just for sake of trying to get us to understand it, we're going to say qara'a, which is the verb. All right, qara'a Muhammad. Muhammad doing kitaban. Okay. All right, so here. This is the point. It started with a verb. Qara'a is a verb. All right. It means he read. Past tense. Muhammadun. We know that Muhammadun is a noun because it takes the tanween, and we'll learn that in lesson 2. But here shows us he's the fa'il. He's the subject or the doer. In this particular case, he's the one doing the reading. Okay. And then kitaban. That's fatatain, as we said before, is nasb. Is letting us know the position that this play. This is the object of the verb qara'a. So for Arabs, the way that they make it known that this is the object, they place a fatatain and not a dammatain. That's the sign for that. All right. So a word is going to either begin with a noun or it's going to begin with a verb. When you learn in Arabic grammar, they're going to teach you this stuff. So this is basically some of the preliminaries we're going over. Again, remember, we're going to be focusing mainly on the first type, which is sentences that begins with nouns. So let's take the pronoun that we learned, ana. Right, now let's insert fi, so we can see how it's used. All right, and we're going to explain what fi is. Now let's take the word that we learned, which is bait. That was the only word that we learned today. All right. Now I want y'all to pay attention here. Baytun is what we learned. A house, right? But when fi is introduced, this is going to be X'd out. It can no longer take a dammatain. You should not keep a dammatain. This will be incorrect if fi is before a noun and you keep it in the state which is rough, which is marfu'an, meaning by dammatain. This have to be removed. So when fi come in, Dhamma runs and kasra comes. All right? Now you change it to kasratain. When fi comes, Dhamma runs and kasra comes. Keep that in mind. All right? Whenever fi comes, Dhamma runs and kasra comes, okay? Keep that in mind. You can even write that down so to make it easier for you to remember that. Whenever you see fi introduced on a noun, then it's going to change it. It's not going to be introduced on a verb, okay? So, here we have ana, fi, bay, ten. This is the correct way. Jumlatu sahiha, this is supposed to be saying. This is a pronoun, and it's in a state of rough, even though you don't see it. It's fi mahali rough, and there's a reason why you can't see it. And this is fi, because we're talking about grammar. And this is how grammar normally is. So if you're going over Ejromia, you're going different things, when you hear them talk grammar and speak grammar, they're going to start breaking down what each word is and position it plays in the jumla. All right? Fi harf jar. Wa alamat jar. Right? We have harf jar, baytun, baytin. In this case, is majroor. Wa alamat jarrihi kasra zahira ala akidihi. And this is how they're going to explain it. They're going to tell you the sign that this is majroor, that is in the state of jar, is the kasra, which is apparent at the end of the letter. All right? The end of the, right? Of the letter. Here we have ana fi baytin. This is the correct way. And one thing I like about this book is that he does exercises. And one of the exercises he does, he takes the same jumla I'm doing in front of you, and he does it in 3 different ways where he give you a list of questions to ask, and he have you pick which one is the correct one. All right? So if we was to do that, he will put, for example, bait 2, bait T, bait 10, bait 10, like that. And then he will have you pick and select which one is the correct so that you can recognize whenever fi comes, dhamma runs, and kasra comes, okay? Now, what does fi mean? Because we never talked about that. Fi has a variety of meanings depending upon the context, all right? It will be used in this lesson as either at, in, okay? Either at or in. It will be mainly used, as we said, in, at, among, in the opinion of. It have more meanings than that. But in this lesson that we're going to be going over, it's going to be used as in or at, all right? It can be used as an opinion of. One of the meanings it can be used in the various contexts: within, near, by, during, among, in the company of, with, about, concerning, regarding, for the sake of, on behalf of. Like you might tell somebody, uhibba fillah. All right? Uhibba fillah. I love you for the sake of Allah. Right? Not I love you in Allah. Okay? Uhibba fillah. So it's cases where the fi might mean something depending on the context it is being used. Okay? So in this case, like we said, in or at is going to be the meanings that we're going to be using in this sentence. All right? I mean, in this lesson. So when we did the first sentence that we written down, which was ana fi bayt 10. Now that we know what fi means, we can actually translate this sentence. All right? But there are some things that you're going to need to know. And I'm going to help you understand it, inshallah, from the lesson. Ana fi bayt 10. Okay? How would I translate this? I would say I. We said this is N, right? N. And the tanween means a or in. In a house. Okay? Now, that's the literal translation for this sentence. However, there's something in English that we need to have, which is called the verb to be. What is the verb to be? That's is, am, and are. There is nothing in Arabic that will give us that. But you need to learn that and understand that. Is, am, and are. So am is used for I. Is used for he, she, or it. And are is going to use for you or we or they. All right? That's what that's going to be used. Once you understand that, you'll know to put this here. So now that I know the verb to be is supposed to be inserted, I will insert the verb to be in this sentence as I am in a house. All right? Remember, am is not in I, but the verb to be needs to be understood when we translate it over to English. All right? I am in a house, or I am at a house. Okay? Not a specific house because we're using tanween. All right? Now, what is the other half of, I don't want to move on too far because he's going to give us, hold on. Hold on 1 second here. Let's go on. All right, so he gives us two pronouns, ana and nahnu. We got that down. He also gives us the plural for bait. The plural for bait, brothers and sisters, is, this is singular. You want to see this in your Arabic book sometimes? It's going to be written down with a jeen. Jeen means plural because it means jam. Jam'un means plural, all right? So when we say plural, it's buyutun. It's on this scale, fu'ulun. So buyutun means houses or homes. All right? That's the plural. Now when it comes to learning mufradat, vocabulary words, the thing that the student must understand that every vocabulary word, new word that you learn, you should learn its plural. Okay? You should learn its plural. However, because in the Arabic language, there are three types when it comes to a word. The word can either be going to be mufrad, it's going to be singular, or it's going to be muthanna, and we didn't learn muthanna yet. In Medina book, you will learn about muthanna, but in this book, I think he touched on it briefly when it comes to muthanna. Muthanna is duality. In English, there is no muthanna, meaning that there is a certain way that it's looked. However, in Arabic, it is. Okay, so there's something which is known as muthanna, which is dual. When we're talking about two people, then there's a certain way that should look. All right, and it also have a certain way it look when it comes to grammar. Whether it's rough, it takes an aleph noon, and we'll get into that. And then whether it's jar or nas, then it's going to take a ya noon, okay? So now we have that, and then we have what we call plural. Now there are plurals, and you're going to learn this in lesson 3 or lesson 2. There are plurals which have plurals, all right? Because plurals are broken down. So it's not the time for us to go into that. We're here going more deep in depth about understanding the plurals and with the scales that they are on so that we can learn a little bit more about that. So anyway, the basic thing you want to know is any new word that you learn, you want to know it's plural. You want to learn its plural as well. All right? Again, another thing that you need to understand is that he gave us two pronouns. A noun is a proper noun like Muhammad. Okay? Muhammad is a proper male name. Muhammadun. And it takes tanween. For those who don't know, it takes tanween. All right? Muhammadun. Because this is the way a proper noun, male name is actually done. Here, it takes tanween, but it does not mean when you translate it, a Muhammad. All right? You don't translate the tanween. You don't say a Muhammad. All right? Because Muhammad is already, what we said is the fa'il, or Muhammad already is the mubtada, meaning that he's the subject. All right? It's marfu', is rough. So you don't have to worry about saying a Muhammad here. In this case, it's not like that. All right? Muhammadun. So it takes a tanween, is in the state of rough. All right, so we got that. Now, when it comes to pronouns, and I think we're going to go into this, not now, but just touch on it briefly so that you get a gist of it. When it comes to pronouns, there are going to be 3 cases. All right, and we're going to this more depth when we get to lesson 3, inshallah. All right, 3 cases. And what do I mean by that? I mean that since so far he only gave us the first tense. Ana, nahnu. All right? Ana, nahnu is in the first tense. What does that mean? It means it's the mutakallim. It's the one who's doing the speaking. We use I and we when somebody is speaking. All right? I went to the store. We are going home. All right? It's normally the first person. They call it the first person speaking. Okay? First person. That's what that is. The handwriting is horrible. All right? Then you have what we call the second person. You're going to learn that in this lesson too. He's going to give us some pronouns, which is mukhatib, all right, which is second person, all right. That's when the person is being spoken to, all right. So if Muhammad and Ali is having a conversation, Muhammad is doing the talking. He's the first person. Ali would be the second person that he's speaking to. So he would use pronouns to converse with him. All right. And then you have what we call the third person. The third person is the ghaib. That's the one who is absent. He's not there. He's not present at the conversation. So he's being spoken about, or she being spoken about. All of these different things are muhim. You're going to notice when you're in the Quran, Allah Jalla wa Ala is going to use this. And you have to learn what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about. Right? Because third person pronouns also refer to inanimate objects. And we'll learn that too in lesson 3, inshallah. In lesson 3, we'll start learning about how to use third person pronouns to refer to inanimate objects. All right? Things that aren't human. Okay? Now, so we got that. All right? So we understood that. And he gave us the indefinite article. Now, there's a verse in the Quran that I'm going to write on the board so we can see this in real time. Inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in Surah Isra, which is the 17th chapter of the Quran, verse 93, Allah says, Aw. Right? Aw yakun. أو يكون لك mess that up here. Here we go. Baytun. So here we go. أو يكون لك بيت من زخرف. من زخ. Okay. زخرف, which is adornment. Let's write this down. Fin. Fa. So the point here is we need to understand this. And this part right here is the shahid that you want us to understand. So the word zukhruf, right, has a kasratayn. So far we learned about fi, right? We didn't learn about men. But we can see right here, men is in the second chapter, the second lesson anyway. But men here also has to be a harf jar because it's affecting the original state. Like in Baytun here has a dhammatain. But it takes a kasratayn. And anytime we see that kasratayn, we know something have changed it from its original state. Original state would mean that it would take a dhamma. It would have been a dhamma. Because it say min zukhrufin, we know that this men have to be a job, a harf job. So that's the point he's trying to make here. To show you in real live time, you're going to see it change. It would have been zukhrufun, meaning it would have taken the dhammatain, but because it has something affecting it, it changes this. So it also changes position within that sentence. The translation to this is, or you have a house elaborately or ornamented in gold and silver. All right. Hope that becomes clear, inshallah. Now, we talked about majrur being a genitive case, something that is possessive. And we talked about the sign of jar is kasr or kasratain. All right. As we see in this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in the Quran, fi surah Nur, which is Surah 24, verse 36, he says, Fi buyutin. Adin Allah. In this beautiful ayat, we can see fi and we can see buyutin, which is the plural of beitun. Notice it's not fi buyutun, it's fi buyutin. We see the kasratain because of what? Whenever fi comes, dhamma runs, and kasra comes. So now we see that. In this sentence here, fi buyutin, we know that buyutin is majroor. It is genitive. It's being possessed by the fi, which is the harf jar, the preposition. The sign that it is majroor is the kasra, which is apparent. Here in this case, it's kasratain because it's indefinite. Allah did not make it definite. He didn't say fil buyuti. He says fi buyutin, in houses, meaning masajid. Okay? Meaning masajid. All right? So in this case, we see it take the kasratain. That's the point he's trying to show us there. And we covered the verb to be. Now let's deal with what we call, and I'm getting ready to stop, inshallah. The hour about to be up. So now let's deal with what we call the definite article. All right? The definite article, brothers and sisters, is alif lam. You can call it alif lam or you can call it al. All right? Semantics. I don't want to go into that. Let's just stick with this. Al, or you can call it alif lam. Either way is okay. All right? Here, al is equivalent in English to the, and is known as the definite article, not the indefinite article like the tanween. The definite article is different from the indefinite article because the definite articles make something specific. It's no more general. All right? It's specific. So in that case, if we add an alif lam to the equation, there is a rule to alif lam. All right? There are pretty much two. One rule is that it cannot take tanween. All right? So whenever you add al into the equation, tanween cannot be on that word no more because they do not mix. You can never say al baytun. This is incorrect. These two can never mix in one word. It's like saying the a house. Doesn't make sense, right? So, whenever you have al, it has to take one harakat. It cannot take two. The correct way to say this will have to be al bayt two. Okay? We have al plus bayt, right, plus two. Al bayt two. Okay? Al bayt two. This is the correct way that it's supposed to be said. All right? Do not say al baytun. That's incorrect. Aleph, the definite article and indefinite article cannot coincide in one word, so do not do that. Now, how does this look when we add the fi into the equation with the definite article? Al. Let's go back to the same sentence we did earlier. Now we're going to add ana, fi, and we're going to put al down in here, the definite article. How does this look? There's something you need to know. For those of you learning Arabic, you need to learn something which is known as, and you should learn this in the beginning, the basics of Arabic. You should learn what they call hamza to wasl. All right? And this is for reading, qira'ah. Hamza to wasl, brothers and sisters, is, they normally call it the hamza of joining. Okay? And in this case, fi has a sukoon. And because two sukoons cannot meet, what you call sakinain, all right? It's going to join right over past this hamza to the lam, to the other sukoon. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this in order to say this right. And now this is no longer fi, this becomes fil. All right? It doesn't change the meaning of fi. It's just that for reading purposes, all right, you're going to carry that over to the lam. So it becomes fil, bayt, and then we get to what it supposed to be the ending. I hope you understand that, right? There you go. It carries over. So don't say ana fi al bayt. Don't say that. All right? Don't say ana fi al bayt. All right? Don't say ana, don't say ana fi al bayt. Say ana fil. Fil. It doesn't change the meaning. Now, everything that we learned, what did we say? When fi comes, dhamma runs, and kasra comes. Because we have an aleph lam, it cannot take tanween, so we have to put one kasra. We cannot put two. We put two, is incorrect. We have to put one kasra. Ana fil bayti. Now, this is a correct jumla. All right? Fi have affected the noun because the bait is majroor, is in this genitive case, right? It's possessive. The sign that is in the genitive case is the kasra that's at the end. Ana fil bayti. If we would have said ana fil baytu, this would have been incorrect. All right? If we would have said ana fil bayta with a fatha instead of a dhamma, still would have been incorrect. It had to take the kasra. All right? What I have learned in teaching this, in teaching Arabic, period, is that we need a lot of constant drills, exercises. So I don't really want to go too much into other stuff that he's going to introduce without us really getting this. So what I would like you guys to do is to open your mushaf. All right? Especially when class is over, or when you get time, open your mushaf, and I want you to spot out fi and whatever word is governed, and I want you to make sure you see the kasra there, specifically when we talk about, and if you don't see a kasra there, don't worry about that. Whatever you do see, I will explain to you why that's there. Because in some cases, in some instances, you will see a fatha instead of a kasra when fi affects a word, and we didn't learn that yet. We're going to learn that in lesson 2, inshallah. All right? Lesson 2 and lesson 3, we will learn why words would take a fatha instead of a kasra. All right? But in this case, kasra is the main sign for the preposition fi. Okay? So when we look in the mushaf, I'll bring the mushaf with me. Hold on. Yeah, all right, so we look in the mushaf. I'm in Surah Ahzab, by the way, and I believe this is verse 37. All right? Verse 37. Allah says, fi is a part of a verse. So I'm just taking this part out. All right? Nafsi. Okay, right? We didn't learn all this other extra stuff, but we did learn this. So this is what I want you to pay attention to. All right? Fi. And we clearly see the C. Without knowing what the word is and what is being said, we clearly see the rule being applied. So we know that this word nafs is a noun. And we're going to learn that in lesson 2. Why? Because verbs aren't governed by prepositions. Nouns are. So we know, for example, that this noun is majroor, is in a genitive state. Why? Because it have a clear kasra at the end of the scene. All right? At the end of the scene. Without getting into what the ka mean, right? Without getting into what the word actually is, nafsun, right? And what that mean, okay? We know for sure that this is what it is. And this is what I want you to do. You want to take your book, your Quran, you want to open it up, and you want to spot out fi when it governs a word. And make sure you make note of what's there. Okay? We can do another example here. I see one more example with fi on this page. And that is in this word here. And by the way, that's verse. Yeah, that's still in the same verse. All right, so here Allah says, fi. أزواجي. في أزواجي. Right? أدعيائهم. Okay? Make sure we get this. Okay, so we can see again. Paying attention. Fi, that's what we're looking for. Azwaji. Look at the gene. The gene has a kasra. Okay? We're not going to get into why I don't take a kasra tain here. Right? Because that's another rule. And we didn't get to that rule yet, but we will, inshallah ta'ala. I think in lesson 4. We would get into lesson 4 or 5. We would get into why this is like that. Why it takes only one kasra without an alif lam. Alright? So don't worry about that now. But the point, we see the kasra. We can see the kasra as clear as day. So we know that azwaj is being what? Is in a genitive state. Is in jar. Is majroor. And is being affected by fi. Why? Because of the kasra. That's what I want you to look for. Alright? So when we're done in class, whenever time you get during the day, open your mushaf and look out for fi. Alright? And remember this principle. We covered about 3 different things today. We covered the definite article, the indefinite article. We covered fi and its meaning. And also we covered the rule of fi. Alright? And we learned some vocabulary. 2 pronouns, ana wa nahnu, and we learned bait, which is 1 word, 1 noun, with the plural, which is buyutun. Okay? And now what I want you to remember is this rule. Whenever fi comes, dhamma runs, and kasra comes. Okay? That's the rule you want to remember when it deals with fi. Whenever fi comes, dhamma runs, and kasra comes. And when we get to the time when fatha comes, we would change that around a little bit. But right now, kasra comes. Another thing I want you to lock in. Another thing I want you to lock in is that alif lam and tanween cannot coincide in the same word. We can't say al-baytun. That is incorrect. All right? So also when you open your mushaf, I want you to pay attention to the definite article al. All right? You only got to do 1 page. You ain't got to do multiple pages. Open 1 page and you're going to see al throughout, similarly do that page. Like even looking on this page here, we see al, the definite article, right? And I can show you some of them, right? Like in the case here, in the word Allah, we see al there, right? In the word alladina, we see al there. And we're going to tell you what alladina means later. You'll learn what that is and what it means, okay? See another word here. Similar there. Okay, yeah. Let's do that. Al-Dhulumat. On this page, we see all right. I want you to pay attention to that. Any of the words that you see al connected to, pay attention to the end. And you will notice it do not have a tanween. That's the point. That's how you want to lock in that rule. Notice that any of the words in the Quran that you come across that have alif lam connected to it is not going to have a tanween at the end because they cannot coincide in the same word. Vice versa. Any tanween that you see is not going to have an alif lam attached to it. All right? Any tanween that you see is not going to have an alif lam attached to it. And I can show you that right here in the word amran. All right? On the page that I'm on. Amran. There's no alif lam. Okay? There's a tanween, but there is no alif lam. Don't worry about if it's fatatain, dhammatain, or kasratain. The point is, we want to know that the indefinite article does not coincide with the definite article, which is the alif lam. All right, so that pretty much sums up today. But please, if you want to get this, do these exercises I'm talking about until you lock down. Because I really don't want to move on to the next part of the lesson if we don't understand the basic principles to fiqh. And the basic principles of alif lam and tanween. All right. And another thing that I mentioned was the verb to be, and we stop in here. Remember the verb to be is am, is, or are. All right, so put that in your mind. Am is used with I, is used with he, she, or it, and are is used with normally you, they, or them, etc. All right, whatever we said that was incorrect in any of our teaching today, is from ourselves. And the shaitan which is correct from Allah Jalla wa Ala. Thank you guys for tuning in. And please, inshallah ta'ala, share this if you can. We're trying to get all the ajr that we can get, inshallah ta'ala, in teaching the Arabic language. And remember the important thing I said in the beginning of all this talk. All right? If you want to know why every time you start a project and you can't finish it, there's two ingredients. It has to be a good intention. Good intention fuse. Good intention is used to fuse sincerity. You need that to infuse your ikhlas. All right? The ikhlas is the second ingredient you need. And ikhlas is important. You need that to fuel your consistency. If you start something and you're not consistent, it's because you lack sincerity. All right? And if you lack sincerity, you lack a good intention. So make sure you understand that point because that's important for us to keep going. All right? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.